Can people hear me in the back? I got a lot of thumbs up, and I got one guy saying, make it louder, and you probably need to be seeing an audiologist. I'm Dr. Dan Koster, and I'm the president of Physicians for Freedom. And thank you all for coming out tonight for our first ever, and I don't know, the planet's first ever Health Freedom Forum. We're glad to have you here. I'm going to give you a little idea of what's to come, at least as we see it now, and we'll see if it pans out that way. And then, but before I get into that, I've got some housekeeping things I want to do. The mission of Physicians for Freedom is factual, rational, and respectful discussion of issues. And it's a bit of a weird mission because it doesn't have a topic or an issue objective. It's a process that can be applied across the board to all kinds of issues. And we believe it should be applied across the board to all kinds of issues. And we don't see enough of that happening today. And I think that's a good part of the reason why, in many ways, we're in the fix we're in. Physicians for Freedom is physician-run, but it's not just physicians. We have non-medical people, we have dentists, nurses, all sorts of people are welcome. And I want to encourage you to see Charlie over there to look into joining Physicians for Freedom, donating to our cause. There is great strength in numbers, so the bigger we get, the more we can get the word out and advance truth and freedom. I want to especially thank Townline and Dave for getting us set up. Thank you, Dave. Also, I want to thank regular Joe Gigante. He's been a friend of Physicians for Freedom since we got going. So thank you, Joe. He'll be back there. And we are going to have a Q&A session at the end. And there are cards, note cards, on the bar, the corner of the bar here, and the corner of the bar at the end. And if you want to write something down, a question, give them to Joe, and he will either bring a mic to you or he will ask the question when we get to the Q&A part at the end. Also, Steve Schrader is here. Steve was nice enough to have me on his radio show last Saturday to promote this, so thank you, Steve. And David at Bring is videotaping this, so we plan to have it on the website, and we may do some editing, we may not, but anyway, that'll be available for people if you want to look at it. If people that couldn't make it here, they can see it, so hopefully we'll get that done before too long. We have some elected officials that are joining us here tonight. So in no particular order, we have Shay Sortwell. You want to stand up, Shay? Good, thank you. We've got the Benke boys, Elijah and Micah. Where are you guys? There they are. And John Macko is here somewhere. Oh, here we go. Thank you, John. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. Also, Bronson Smith is doing our audio. He's standing in the back. So if this is too loud, too much feedback, it's his fault. All right, and there'll be notes. Everything you see here, we're going to have on the website, okay? So you may see things on the slides that you want to remember, take note of. It'll be on the website. I think that may be just about all my housekeeping stuff. All right, we have some rules for tonight. Part of our mission is we want to be factual. So what does that mean? We want the panel members who are going to be discussing things, we want them to stick to the facts. Now, no one can be expected to know all the facts off the top of their head all the time, but do your best to hold yourself accountable. And we want the other panelists, and I'll do my best, and people in the audience to hold people accountable as well. So make a good faith effort at that. We want it to be a rational discussion. Often in science we use the term dispassionate. It's easy to get passionate about COVID. It's easy to get passionate about the gender concerns going on. But to find our way toward the truth, stick to the rational, logical arguments as best we can. Also, be respectful of each other. We need to be respectful. I would even say compassionate. The more we can welcome alternative views, the more we can understand what others are thinking and arrive together at the truth. That means not interrupting. And my favorite, obey the moderator. That's me. And we want to have fun. So hopefully we'll have fun. And there will be a Q&A section at the end, as I said. So before I introduce, let's go around and introduce the panel. Let's do that now. Starting here. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys. You're going to love this. To be on the video, when you stand, or when you speak, you must stand. Melissa, you may need to get up on a chair. Okay. All right, so starting here, please stand and introduce yourself.
I'm Joseph Chabot. I am a neurosurgeon, assistant professor at the Medical College of Wisconsin.
Dr. Scott Westlow, interventional cardiologist.
I'm Hans Rexander, general surgeon from Spooner, Wisconsin.
James Clemens, I'm an otolaryngologist with Prevea Clinic.
Melissa Allen, a registered nurse of 7 years.
Doug Reich, I'm not a doctor, but I'm a business owner and a practicing data scientist.
He did stay at a Holiday Inn Select last night.
All right, thank you, everyone. I'm going to do just some opening remarks to kind of hopefully give us a compass direction as to where we want to go tonight. We're here tonight because we are in trouble. We're in deep trouble, and I think most of us on this panel would agree with me that we think in medicine that we're in more trouble than a lot of you would realize. We have a crisis of trust. Now, most people are aware that there's a sort of crisis of trust in America generally. We have crisis of trust, lost faith in our political leaders, not only themselves, but how they manage critical issues, inflation, the border, foreign policy. We have a crisis of trust in our media. We have a crisis of trust in the election process, managing school systems, boards of education, what our children are taught. But in healthcare, we have a couple of areas that are political issues that are very important, in which we have a crisis of trust that we're going to explore in more depth tonight. First, we're going to talk about COVID, and there are issues related to COVID. Masks, is the vaccine, quote, perfectly safe, unquote? Is it 95% effective? And there is a lot going on in gender identity disorders, gender dysphoria, that I think a lot of people only now are awakening to. And it has to do with who makes decisions for minor children with this problem. Are parents involved? How much do the schools do? How much should the schools do? Boys playing in girls' sports, that sort of thing. So why is this crisis of trust so important? It's dividing us. If you can't trust authorities, if you can't trust the media, you're not sure you can trust each other, we're not engaging as a self-governing people as we should. And that's dividing our country. Everybody knows we're very divided right now. A house divided against itself cannot stand. Division like this invites corruption, which is just another form of tyranny. So we are fighting for our freedom tonight. And within medicine, if we don't have collegial, good relations with our fellow physicians, if in medicine we can't trust our medical authorities. What does that do to medical science? How do we collaborate on the science, and how do we advance knowledge to serve you? So we have a serious problems here, and we need to try to restore that trust. How do we fix this division? How do we restore trust and regain our freedoms? Is censorship and coercion the way? Hopefully that's an obvious no. Censorship is the anti-truth. You can't know what the truth really is without talking to other people and validating that external reality. And if you can't express your views, what you think, how is your neighbor, how is your fellow citizen, how is your scientific colleague going to know if you're right or not, or if he's right or not? How do we progress? So it's anti-truth, it's also anti-liberty, and of course it's anti-trust. You can't force someone to trust you. In fact, I would go so far as to say, if you find any person, if you find any group that are actively censoring you, it's a very good sign that they do not have the truth on their side. The truth, and just at the end of the poker game, showing your cards, just showing the truth, that's the most powerful way to persuade. And if they don't have that, they resort to censorship and force. And censorship, by the way, it's just the death of science. Science rests on skepticism. Science progresses because you look at the established, accepted truth and you say, I don't buy that. I question, I wonder. And that should be a vigorous debate to move closer. But censorship shuts that down. So how do we restore trust? How do we get our freedom back? And I think you would agree the way to get our freedom back, defeat tyranny, advance freedom, which leads to peace, is through our mission. It's factual, respectful, and rational debate. I think we've waited long enough for that. So we want to get started, and we'll start in our own way here tonight. So to begin, I want to bring up a topic. This is the CDC's website. It's on chickenpox. This is not COVID. This is chickenpox. And it's what everyone should know